First off, I think the hardest thing that I'm recognizing and realizing about narcissistic dynamics as I go on my journey is, and I was just talking to a client about this today, and I think this is probably what a lot of survivors end up coming up against, is that the reality that you were living in with the narcissistic person is not necessarily, or 9 times out of 10, usually not reality. And it's coming to terms with the fact that what ends up typically happening in narcissistic dynamics is that once you break away from them, it's essentially reality against the narcissistic person's reality, if that makes sense. So what ends up happening is that you start coming into reality about who and what you're dealing with, which is that, okay, this person does not, it's a perception issue with narcissism. So you end up coming up against something that nobody can fight against, which is how this person perceives you. It's a cognitive issue. There is an issue in the brain at that point, and you are up against essentially a person who has suffered such severe trauma that they have had brain damage done to them. And so therefore, how do you convince somebody whose brain is not working properly? How do you teach perception? You know what I mean? How do you teach objective reality, you know? And that's what a lot of people end up against when it comes to narcissistic dynamics and narcissistic people, is that, and I think that's really, I guess I can only speak for myself, but also like what I've seen as far as like the harm it does to other people. And what I've seen is this tends to be the most devastating part, is that once you see the reality of it, now you and the narcissistic person are living in 2 separate realities. And so it almost creates either a permanent cognitive dissonance that you're going between, which is I have to somehow keep up objective reality, which is this person is mentally ill. And then somehow I have to maintain your subjective reality when I'm around you by catering to your subjective reality, which is just manipulation, while also somehow trying to maintain my own objective reality. And this is where it causes harm to the people dealing with narcissistic people, because then it starts to cause you brain damage. Because you're in a constant state of cognitive dissonance, trying to not only maintain actual reality, but trying to maintain a connection with somebody who is living in a reality that they think is real, but it's really just subjective. It's all a lot of feelings, you know? And so it becomes exhausting and impossible to maintain. And people who get out of these type of dynamics, that's really becomes the most devastating part, is that you have to accept, like what I just said, like you're living in 2 separate realities, but then what it ends up fucking with is your own self-image and perception of self. Because how are there like 3 different realities here, you know? And so that's where it ends up kind of fucking with people, and where people have a hard time with it, because it's hard to detach from, yes, this person is so delusional, they cannot see me clearly, and therefore their conclusions that they're drawing about me, that's their subjective reality. And yes, it's painful when people don't see you clearly. And also, and this is where it becomes confusing and tough to heal from. And as far as narcissistic abuse goes, because how do you teach perception and discern? I mean, I know how to teach discernment. You can utilize a lot of different skills to help teach discernment, but how do you teach perception? Because that's what it's a disorder of, is perception. You're not perceiving me accurately, you're not perceiving yourself accurately, and it's because from the very earliest years you were not properly taught how to discern and see reality, because you've been being gaslit and manipulated by somebody who has controlled not only, has controlled your whole reality, essentially. And so that's why a lot of times you see survivors of narcissistic abuse, like those who grew up in families like this, their perception of like pretty much everything is off, and they have to like learn it. And so the most devastating part, the hardest part, I think, is recognizing that you've been totally screwed out of, basic reality, some of these basic things that normal people don't worry about in functioning. And so your life becomes that much harder because a lot of people are equipped with basic reality, right? Or ability, or, a healthy enough functional environment to where there's not all this weird shit going on, like twisting perception and reality. So I think the hardest part is recognizing that you can't save everybody from these types of dynamics. And what's really sad about narcissistic abuse is that if the abusive person is good enough at clouding people's reality, it inadvertently turns people against each other, because what ends up happening with narcissistic abuse is you're taught to not trust your own perception, to not trust your own judgment, to not trust yourself. You're taught to trust the narcissistic person. And so when their mask and who they're showing themselves to be starts falling apart, well, reality starts falling apart, and then perception starts falling apart. And then, it really, it's, I would say, literally the most devastating dynamic, dysfunctional dynamic that there is out there. And why do I say that? Because, you think narcissism, and that's what encompasses some of our greatest sicknesses that we see happening, all these extremes, racism, sexism, all that kind of stuff. All those things go hand in hand. And it, like I said, it's meant to turn yourself against yourself. And like I said, I think the saddest part is that a lot of people end up getting, either if they don't get kind of stuck in the dynamic in some way, shape, or form, meaning like narcissistic people, they are very, very good at what they do. They will leave you feeling guilty and obligated even after they die. Like, that's how good these narcissistic people are, especially covert narcissists, because they will put a lot of subtle programming into you that you will find yourself repeating, or you will find yourself like thinking that. And it's like, yeah, if you find yourself thinking the same thing that a person said over and over and over again, you might want to question whether it's manipulation, So, yeah, I think it's just very sad to see, because I've experienced it in my own life where it's like, you really can't win in the dynamic, because either way you swing it, you're going to come out of it with people being against each other, because either the children in the dynamic have become narcissists themselves, or they have become so fucking damaged that they're isolated and they don't want anything to do with anybody or anything, or like whatever the dynamic, because it's so twisted. So it's extremely destructive. And I think that's basically the hardest part I'm saying is coming to a place where you accept that these people in these dynamics may never see your reality. In fact, I have family members where it's like, I don't think I'll ever be seen clearly or understood, and that's okay. And that's really the place that you have to get to, is like, that is okay. That's okay. Because it has nothing to do with me. Unfortunately. I mean, it's like, if you swapped me out with, you know, rando Susie on the street corner, and you just switched us at birth, you know what I mean? Like, the same thing would have happened. And I think that's the place that you have to get to, is really, and that's what I was talking to my client about today, is you really have to get to a place where you are so grounded in yourself and your reality and what you know is true, that it's unshakable. Like, there's not a single, somebody could sit here and try to brainwash me all day and night. I don't think it would ever work for me anymore, because I'm so grounded in myself that you can sit here and call me whatever all day or say whatever about me all day. That it doesn't matter, because it's not, hi, I'm still here, it's still me. What up? Like, it just doesn't matter. But I think that's, like I said, what makes it fucked up, though, is that you have to get to a place of empowerment where you are so standing tall in who you are that it's like, really, and that's what these dynamics can kind of force you into a position of too. But that really is the place that you have to get to. Otherwise, it'll, you don't want to allow it to kind of overpower you, because, I mean, this is painful shit. Narcissistic dynamics, narcissistic abuse. Having nobody to validate who you are in your reality your whole life. And then, like, that keeps going because, like, bad parents stay bad. You know what I mean? So it's not like, hey, I'm 30 and now my parents, like, they get it. Nope. It's like the same shit. So it's like really vital to get to a place where you recognize that it's not personal to you. It really is personal to the dynamic. And especially if you live in the United States, I mean, this goes back to the earliest of days. It's not personal. But hey, how's it going, Danny? Oh, yay, that's fun, about the dress and tiara. But yeah, I was just thinking about that, because I was just thinking, like, I mean, because I was thinking about my client and how he was like, and I was just kind of psychoanalyzing what he was saying, and I can relate to a lot of it because of my upbringing. And I was just thinking to myself, like, yeah, how do you get past that? It's like, well, how have I gotten past it? Not allowing not allowing anything to have power over me except for my own judgment of me, really, or like what I value, what goals I'm looking to reach, etc. But really getting to a place where I recognize that just because you think that about me, just because you feel that about me, just because whatever, that doesn't mean anything. It doesn't change who I am. you know? So oh, that's so cool. Yep, I love Etsy, and I feel you with that. I like to do the same thing. But yeah, I think it's just like really getting to a place where you don't allow, I mean, there's plenty of people who are living in a reality where there's all sorts of different judgments about me or thoughts about me. I don't give a shit. Why do I not give a shit? Because you didn't take the time to actually get to know whether that was true or not. And if you think that you did, you didn't. You didn't. Because more than likely, the me that you have seen is a response to trauma. And you haven't seen the real me because you're probably, and this is like for most people in my personal life, you're probably too fucked up to be able to like get that part of me because you're so fucked up, if that makes sense. So I don't give a fuck. Why do I not give a fuck? Because most people who are close to me who think they have known me or thought they knew me did not. Why? Because you're an asshole. And I knew you were an asshole. So you didn't see the real me because I knew you were an asshole. Oops, did we skip over the part where I'm psychic again? Question mark. I guess y'all just, I mean, some of these people I straight up even told, but I mean, that's on them, you know? So, like I said, that's why I don't care, because while I was in a space and you were in a space where you could have gotten to know me, you chose not to because you thought that was me because I'm smarter than you. And I was acting from a place of strategy because I was around extremely dysfunctional people. So I'm sorry that you don't peep game, buddy. I guess you have a little thing or two to learn from me, I would say, then. Because well, I don't know. I think that's a complete sentence. Thank you. I appreciate you. Appreciate you. Yes, for sure. So I think that's like the most fucked up part is just like, I know I keep repeating it, but like just, you have to accept, if you've dealt with narcissistic people, that you're never going to live in the same reality. You're not. You're not. And either you can be fake and rise up to meet this fake expectation and standard and whatever fucked up shit they're projecting onto you, or you can say, up yours, bitch. Get the fuck away from me and go enjoy your life. You know what I mean? Because for me, I'm not going to battle that. Like, if you're too fucked in the head, and usually I can tell if people are because I observe them usually for years, and then or sometimes quicker. I mean, whatever, I observe people and then I take action from there. But if you're a lost cause, you probably haven't heard from me again. let's just put it that way. And so for me, it's like, I don't give a fuck if we're living in 12 different realities, because I have worked on myself enough and worked through things enough to be able to kind of discern, like, okay, this is my subjective reality, this is your subjective reality, and this is reality. And so if you can't see those things clearly, I'm not going to allow your clouded perception to judge mine. And that requires discernment too. So don't just follow someone else's judgment or discernment because they call themselves dad or mom or whatever, you know? So I think that's my point in this, is that really at the end of the day, if you don't see that it's that losing me is a loss, you know, like whoever, because I've had to cut a lot of people off, I don't give a fuck. Again, that's your problem, and that's another loss for you. That would suck to not be able to see reality that to that degree that I could not see, hey, this is a pretty great person. This is a pretty decent person. Like, if you're that messed up in the head, I feel sorry for you, and this is no longer my issue, and good luck with that. You know what I mean? And I think that's the most empowering place that you can get to with narcissistic people, is recognizing it's not personal to you. I'm not going to sit here and pretend it is or feel bad, whatever. You can live in that reality over there. That's fine. and I'll live over here. And it's painful that you're not living an actual objective reality, but that's okay. I don't know. It just, for me, it's not painful anymore because I've come to acceptance about reality. And that's the least painful thing of all, is just seeing reality and living in it. I mean, at first it can be painful, but once you bite the bullet and just do it, really. Yes, exactly. Literally. Yep. It's just kind of like, but I think what people struggle with is the cognitive dissonance of it, where it's like, yeah, I can let it go, but this person's like messed with me so much, and all these people, like if it's a family dynamic, I think it's tough for people because it's like all of these people are smearing my character. All of these people are not seeing me clearly. And so I think that's what, and of course that's really challenging and painful and shitty. And I think it just gets to a point where it's like you just kind of realize that, yes, this entire group of people who just so happens to, like, some of them or all of them just so happen to be related to me. Yes, of course you would expect more from people that, my God, you share the same blood with, because you're not as fucked up. This is usually what happens with people who have been subjected to narcissistic abuse. It's confusing. It's like, well, I don't get it. Like, and that's what's happened a lot for me, where it's like, but you just get to a place where it's like, you can't see me clearly. And once you get grounded enough in yourself, you will be able to see that. And then it just becomes a thing where it's like, well, fuck this. And who gives a fuck? Because I know who I am. I don't care how many times somebody trashes my character and name. I've spent enough time with myself to know who I am. So there's really not anything you can say or do. Because you would have to somehow erase my reality of the hours and days and years of time I've spent with myself. And that's not going to happen. Because there's no way that you know me better than I know me, bitch. There's no way. There's no way. And once you get to that place, that point, nobody can manipulate you. Once you get to a place where you're so grounded in yourself, where it's like, dude, you're not me. You're not in my body. So there's nothing you can say or do to control what I think or how I feel about myself. Or you, honestly. So yep, very true. Yep. And I mean, that's true. It's just kind of like the more you go through life and life experiences, the more that you get to know yourself. And that's where it's like you get to maybe it's a certain age, certain stage, whatever, where it's just like, I don't care what you say. You're not going to convince me of who I am. You're not going to convince me of how to feel about myself. You're not going to convince me of anything like that. And I hate to say it, but this is why a lot of times people prey on younger people. I'm not going to put gender into it, but that is why that happens, because younger people, they're still getting to know who they are. They're not as grounded yet in who they are. So I think that's why a lot of times. But yeah, we're born screaming, crying, alone, and scared. We die the same regardless. Yup. Unless you're sure of yourself. Yeah, I mean, that's really, I would say that's the biggest thing, is the only people who can really get manipulated are people who are not sure of themselves. If you are sure of yourself and grounded in yourself, I mean, trust me, take it from me. Even the people closest to me cannot pull on my heartstrings and manipulate me anymore, unfortunately for them. So, I mean, I think that's, I guess, the main message or main takeaway is like, of what I'm saying, is that that's the hardest part of the narcissistic dynamic, or dealing with narcissistic abuse, and that's also your key out, basically, is recognizing that the point of this type of abuse is to turn you against yourself. It's to turn you against yourself, your own discernment and your own intuition, so that you do not see or perceive yourself or what's going on accurately. If your perception of yourself and what's going on is hijacked, then you're fucked. It's a wrap. You know what I mean? It's kind of like when your perception and judgment is thrown, everything is thrown. Then your discernment is off. Then you can't read your intuition clearly. It really is. I just don't even have a word to describe it. It's really insidious and destructive, but it's on a very subtle level. And like I said, it's like spiritual warfare, because it kind of turns you against yourself and your own better judgment and intuition. And that's the point of it. If somebody can control your perception of yourself, if they can control what you think or how you feel about yourself, then it's a wrap. Then it's a wrap. Mm-hmm. Yep. I totally hear you with that, Danny. Yep. Yep. Definitely. So it's just a matter of hanging on to yourself and your reality. And not even your reality, objective reality. And yeah, once you can do that, you'll be free. Because narcissistic abuse, it's the type, especially with covert abusers, it's the type where they try to kind of, they try to sicken your soul in a lot of ways, so that even after you're done being around them or dealing with them, it it sickens your soul. It like does something where it kind of stains your soul in a sense. I don't know how else to describe it, but it makes it harder for you to it's kind of like CPTSD, really, if I think about it, because it's like it makes you question everything, including yourself. And it can keep, when you're against yourself, then anybody can get to you. And that's been my life lesson. That's been a huge part of my own healing. Yep, that's exactly what happens when you have narcissistic parents. Because, based on childhood trauma. Yep, you're not alone, Danny. Same. Yep, same about I had narcissistic tendencies. Yeah, I mean, there's no way not to have those, when you've had one or both parents who are narcissistic. Mm-hmm. Yep. And I mean, it's something that stays with you, and I mean, impacts you long after. Long after. The reality of it is, healthy parents They don't want you to feel stuck or trapped. Healthy parents want you to go live your own independent life. They don't guilt you. They don't make you feel like, oh my gosh, nobody else, just you and I. They don't do weird shit like that or make it seem like, oh, you have to cater to them or caretake for them. That's classic with covert narcissistic parents is they'll play the victim a lot, and it's, whatever, take care of me, and it's very needy, and it's very, and then overt narcissistic people are usually, sometimes they can be the opposite, kind of come off cold and grandiose, and I don't give a fuck, and I'm, yeah. So it's like, but either way, it can still have the same impact of leaving somebody who has dealt with a parent who's like that, either feeling totally iced out and like, wow, this person doesn't give a fuck about me. Maybe if you're talking about an overt or a covert, it'll leave you feeling obligated or guilty or, to be honest, I'd rather deal with an overt because at least you know what you're dealing. Like, they're like, for the most part, they're going to be a little bit more straight up. Whereas coverts, you can be dealing with a covert narcissist for 10 plus years and have no clue. And then all of a sudden, you just like everything adds up and you're like, this person, there's something off, and you do realize like as you're dealing with them that there's something off, but then it's like you don't really realize till the culmination of everything has happened, if that makes sense. So either way, it's fucked up and devastating because you realize that in order to break free from this person, they're not coming with me. I'm not coming with them. I have to separate, and they're going to live in a totally separate reality where now I'm the bad guy and I'm the crazy person. Why? Because that's how narcissistic people maintain their subjective reality, which is that they've done nothing wrong. How do they do that? They have to destroy your objective reality that you're putting in their face. How do they do that? They destroy both your objective and subjective reality by trying to just, you know what I'm saying? So it becomes this thing where it's like you literally have no choice but to separate yourself and accept that this is a person who literally thinks that their subjective reality is objective reality. They don't understand the difference, maybe even between subjective and objective reality. That is why they can't see me or themselves clearly. That's it. And just coming to a place of accepting, like, that's what it is. And I don't have to sit here and feel bad. I don't have to sit here and try to convince this person. No. Nor am I going to, because that is a waste of my time, because you're never going to wake these people up. You're never going to wake narcissistic people up. Can you get them to reason in the moment? Sure. If you're really good, can you get them to maybe improve 5 to 10%? Sure. Question mark. That's also depends on who it is. But yeah, not usually. So I wouldn't hold your breath, and I wouldn't waste your life staying connected to these types of people who leave you feeling this way. But if you're disconnected to them, I would really find a way to work through the emotions and forgive yourself and recognize this is so not personal to you. This is like, and I don't mean to make light of it, but sometimes you have to. It's kind of like born wrong place, wrong, wrong people, right time, kind of a thing. Like, I do not know what the hell this is. I don't know how I got mixed up in this, but these are sickos, and I'm not going to make them any better by explaining objective reality to adults. Adults that don't understand objective reality, I'm sorry, you can't help. You can't help, and you just have to get to a place where you say, you know what, I can't help this person. Yep. Yep. I'm reading these. I'm reading what you're saying here. Yeah. So I think, and part of it is, when you break free, it's like I said, you either have to decide, am I going to be fake and go along with this person's subjective reality that is just so not true and keep putting up with this, or am I going to get away from this person and allow this person to live in their delusion, but then also probably accept the fact that this person's not going to like me very much because I'm not going to live in a fake reality. I'm going to live in reality. And so that's probably going to clash against this person's false sense of reality. And so what is that going to mean? Probably can't be around this person. And it's not because of me. It's because this person's not seeing clearly. So, and that doesn't mean, I don't have to punish myself for the rest of my life. I don't have to sit here and feel guilty. Nope, I'm sorry. These are people who, especially if it's family members, like plenty of time. You had plenty of time to self-reflect. Just like I've had plenty of time and I have self-reflected. Yeah, that makes sense. Did you say she's narcissistic? Because that would make sense too. That's a common thing with narcissistic mothers and their sons. They will coddle their sons infinitely, but narcissistic mothers are notorious for being jealous. So if they have daughters, they will do the opposite. And it's because they're a jealous, insecure fucking bitch secretly, and they're a fucking weird bitch also. Excuse me. Sorry. Yes, I'm calling people's mamas a bitch. Sorry, question mark. Anyway, the point is, don't act like a bitch then, because this is insane behavior to be jealous of your own daughter. Like, how much do you actually have to hate yourself? You know what I mean? Like, come on now. Yeah, like literally and yeah, this is why I've talked about this in my readings too, that I get very upset hearing about that, because it's like, this is why you need to give yourself time to develop and grow before you have children, so you don't fuck your children up. And I really cannot stand when people try to say, I grew up with my kids. Okay, let me translate. In other words, you had kids way too young. You traumatized them because you were not fully developed enough and you did not have enough wisdom and experience in the world enough to properly raise a child. And so therefore you traumatized them and pretended like you were growing up, but really you stunted your own development and growth, because you cannot grow when you're trying to teach another whole fucking human being how to live, right? Am I kind of hitting the mark there? Like, oh my God, I'm sorry, but with the circumstances I came from with two narcissistic parents, excuse me for not accepting irresponsible bullshit behavior. I mean, I say this about my own my own parents and family. I think it's ridiculous that I don't know, just people and some of the life decisions that are made. I don't respect it. And there's no way um hmm, yeah. I mean, I just think that's unacceptable. To me, that's just unacceptable. Like, I'm carrying, like, what? Like, this is a whole nother human being. I can't imagine being so lax. You know what I mean? That's my whole thing. I cannot imagine being that lax. Yeah, okay, yeah, we'll just wing it. I'll just like grow up at the same time. Like, what is going on? I'm hurt by people's decisions to put their children, this is how I feel about my parents. It's like, shame on you, it's like, and yes, humans are humans. We all make mistakes. Nobody's perfect. And you fucked up. And I don't think anybody should be above saying that, because I'm not above saying that when I fuck up. So, and I'm not above facing the reality when somebody calls me out when I fuck up. You know what I mean? So I just um hmm. Yeah, no, that's valid. I totally get why you feel that way, Danny. Um yeah, that's fucked up. Yeah, I hope he won't be for your sake too. And I would say, if he is, I don't know, like the cancer thing to do, like if somebody has shit on me to that degree, like I'm gonna act like I've never ever met you before in my entire life, like in your face. Like that's the highest level of shitting on somebody that you can do, is to literally act like I've never met you before in my life and look you dead in the eye and be totally at peace and cordial as if I never knew you or met you. Like, yeah. Yeah. Because essentially what the message that you're sending is that whether you existed in my life or not matters none to me. It makes zero difference. And if somebody's shitting on you enough, you're gonna feel that way, anyway. So, I don't know. Family, TMI, but let's say okay. Yikes. Oh my gosh. How, how messed up of them. Damn. Well, you know what? To me, that's like, you've got genuine people on your side, and sometimes that can be just one or a few, but the way I see it, I'd rather have one or two genuine people on my side than a whole group of motherfucking phonies. So to me, that speaks volumes about your character, Danny, in a good way. Oh no, that's okay. No, I think it's a good space to just kind of, that's why I just let people kind of, like people I know, have talked to, whatever, like just say what you need to say in the chat, because I want it to be a safe, therapeutic, free-flowing space. And especially because you've dealt with it. So you said you have narcissistic parents, or just one or two that are like that? I mean, it really does impact your whole life and the way you operate and function just on every level. And that's if you choose to actually face the reality of what you've been through. A lot of people who have been through that severe degree of abuse. I mean, if you have two narcissistic parents or one, but especially if you have two, that is severe abuse. Even if they never laid a hand on you, that's very, very severe, because people have to understand it's an extreme form of brainwashing that causes brain damage over time. Literally causes changes to your brain, and like I said, impacts your entire life, because either you remain a part of it, and it's kind of like a cult like thing where again you have to go along with their version of reality, or and that can create cognitive dissonance for you, or you and it's not always this black and white, but sometimes it can be, or you detach, and then that has its own set of problems, because then people don't want to go against the narcissistic dynamic, because then it outs everybody. So then what do? They scapegoat you. If you go that route. Sometimes. A lot of times. Oh, that's so nice, Danny. That's really cool that you did that. That you decided to do that with your aunt. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like that's, and I don't fault or blame or whatever, like judge anybody who does, because it's like, it's either that or, I chose to go the route of going no contact, and phew, boy, it's like jumping in a pit of ice water every day. It's like, oh my God. Uh, so yeah, it's kind of it's either way you swing it, it's not really a great deal. So, yeah, if you have narcissistic family dynamics, whether you stay in it or leave, it's painful either way. Because, like, then if you stay, you kind of deal with all of these nuances that you're talking about. And it's like, I don't know. And for me, I'm just kind of like, I just don't. For me, what ends up happening is once I see something very clearly, it's like, I don't know how to go. How do I keep going like this? You know what I mean? Like, without every single time I interact with you being like, hey, you know that you're like secretly a narcissist, right? And we're just like kind of going through the motions here. Like, I I don't know. For me, it's just kind of like, oh, there's a cat right there, first off. Let's see if it'll chit chat with me here. Psst. Psst. Come here. Come here, sweetie. No, sweet. Honey, don't ignore me. No, honey. Honey, I love you. Okay. You're loved. Goodbye, sweetie. Good, okay. Awesome. I'm glad to hear that she's not ignorant. But I totally get it. I grew up Catholic too. So a lot of that, sometimes you come across that shaming type of, and then you add the narcissistic dynamic into it, and it's like, oh my goodness. Oh, wow. Yeah, see, and that's funny you say that, because it's Italian Catholic. Well, Italian and Irish on my end. Damn. I don't know if I already talked to you about this though, Danny. I don't have a great memory. So maybe we already talked about this. And I'm just but yeah, so I mean the hardest part basically is accepting that either way in a narcissistic dynamic you're living in two different realities. Oh, wait, what are you saying yes me too about? No, I can't even remember. I know a lot of similarities. It's kind of wild. But that's where I don't believe in coincidences because it's like I think the universe aligns you with people with similar stories or wounding or whatever to help support and uplift one another, you know. Yeah, wouldn't that be wild? Maybe what if we were? I have a cousin named Danny. I do have a cousin named Danny. Wait, don't I? Hmm. That would be wild if we found out we were related. I have a lot of cousins too. That's why I was like, wait. But I do think I. Don't I? Well, now I do. Oh my God. Wait, where is, what state is it in? But yeah, I think it's just like you just have to come to a place where like I just accept that I I live in a different I think that really makes life easier in general when you accept that a lot of times you're living in a different reality than most people, like cuz everybody's perception is or I guess different sort of or like based on their own life experiences. Oh, Illinois. Okay. Suburban hell. Well, I mean, with the berg on the end of it, that doesn't surprise me. Oh my God, I love Illinois though. That's so funny because um, my mom is born and raised in Illinois. So that's kind of funny. Yeah. You know, and I don't know, because it's like I try to, in the job I do, and even in like the tarot readings I do, I try to give people guidance and help them from the standpoint of like, what did I do, to help myself through these tough dynamics that I've dealt with my whole life. And um, that's kind of what I was thinking about today with this client. And I basically was just saying to him, like, finding ways to reframe it and recognize, because I think when you start really becoming grounded in who you are and building more confidence, and start healing, you get out of that place of blaming yourself all the time, or, like putting it on yourself, or, when you build up your self-esteem, you know, and, how did I do that over time? I mean, I used a lot of different coping skills and ways to get to know myself and recognize, like, basically getting to know myself, learning who I am, what makes me me, what makes me tick, just being with myself, but also seeing how I operate in relationships, friendships, etc., etc. And that is one of the key elements of, in the book The Art of War, where they talk about, or he talks about, like, know thy enemy, but know thyself. And that's why he says to know thyself, because when you know yourself, like I was saying earlier, that can't be used against you. You know what I mean? People can't use weaknesses against you. They can't manipulate you when you know yourself. Your mind is stronger, so you're able to strategize better, you're able to just function better. You know, when you know yourself and people say shit about you, it doesn't permeate, because, well, why do I care if somebody calls me a bitch? I know I'm not a bitch. Why would I give a shit? Why would I care? That does not define me. That's not how I am or who I am. Unless you fuck with me, yeah, of course I'm going to be a bitch like anybody would. Bitch. You know, so, but, you know, at my core, is that who I am? No. So you're not going to make me feel some type of way if you say anything about me. Oh, yay. So when is your wedding? When is it? Um but yeah, it's like you just can't let people make you feel some type of way about yourself. The moment that people are able to do that is the moment that um that they can have a hold on you or have some type of power or control over you. But people can't do that unless you allow them to do that. It's not to say you're not going to have an emotional response or whatever, but how much you allow that to dictate your actions, dictate how you feel about yourself, dictate what you choose to do with your life, that is a choice. Nobody can take my choice away from me. And when you know yourself, people can't try to break through the only avenue they know how to in order to manipulate or control you, which is your mind. So, oh, dang. Perfect. Wait, who are you talking about now, Danny? But yeah, I think that's why I wanted to get on here and talk about this, just because, like, I think that's been the most painful thing for me, is accepting that I can't I cannot change how someone chooses to see me or view me. I can't change that. And in the midst of standing in my truth, and I would say objective truth at this point, um, a lot of sick people's perceptions of me is not positive, and it's not positive, and this is where it's like you have to rise above the shit. It's not positive because it doesn't support their unhealthy perception. It forces them to have to look at the fact that maybe how they're doing things is not as healthy as they thought. And narcissistic people are people who are dysfunctional and not well. You'll know the ones who are really unwell from the ones that are maybe capable of change, because the ones who are incapable, you can't get past the ego. You'll find that you can only get to a certain point. People who are truly conscious or awakened, or like not personality disordered even, I would just put in there, are not like super resistant to change. Like people who are the healthier, the more like fluid the mindset, or the more like receptive or kind of open a person is to the possibility of, hey, let me self-reflect, hey, change, hey, maybe I'm not perfect, you know, that is like a good sign. And somebody who's more resistant to change, or resistant to, like, if you point out, hey, this is something shitty that you're doing or whatever, and if a person's resistant to hearing that out or considering it a possibility, and they do that all the time, where they're not willing to go past a certain point in their own growth or healing, that's a red flag. Oh. Yeah. Wait, why? What do you mean twice technically? Because you guys are like already married, right? That's what I thought. But I don't question people because I'm just like, do your thing, you know? But I guess I should have asked about more or, for more deets on that part. But, yeah, it's kind of like you just have to really be grounded in thyself. And that's what I have realized, and what being in severely narcissistic dynamics has taught me over time, is that, like, you just have to know that you're probably around some very unwell people. If the only person who's looking at themselves is you, and if all the other people, if most of what they're doing, or if not all of what they're doing, is like pointing the finger at you, you can almost guarantee you're in a narcissistic dynamic, because no. Healthy, normal people don't do that. They self-reflect and they consider, well, what was my part? What was the context? What did I do? Not just what did you do? Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay. Oh, okay. Nice. Oh, okay. I like that idea. I don't know. I think it's cool to have a ceremony. Like, I'm not like a super tradition, but I mean, I do like the idea of ceremonies and tradition, and, like, not in a weird way, but like the whole ritual of just the formal, just, you know, why not? Right. I mean, why not have an excuse to just like have a party and have fun with people you like? You know, it doesn't have to be as deep as, well, like in terms of the whole, whatever. I'm not gonna get into it. Too tired. I was gonna go live and do a tarot reading, but I don't know at this point, because it's 1 a.m. But I did want to go live, period, so at least I did that. But I'm definitely going to be doing a Cancer reading in the next couple days, and another collective reading, so stay tuned for that. Yeah, you know what? I felt inspired to do it because I just randomly thought of this. And I was like, what is like the most difficult thing that people probably struggle with narcissistic dynamics? And like, what kind of wisdom could I impart in regards to that to help people through it? Because I've been through it and I've had to detach from like multiple narcissistic dynamics and people, like my own family dynamic. And I don't know, like I talk to a lot of people on here and also have like a lot of clients with narcissistic, family dynamics where it's just like, I don't know, it's just like it's so painful and I can see it in just even in, I don't want to get personal, but people close to me, it's just like I can tell. And it's not that I'm not like in pain about it, but like I don't know. I was built different or something because I feel like I see how devastating. I mean, even the devastation on my own life. Um, I'm grateful to have whatever temperament this is, where I just, I mean, like I said, it's not that it's not painful. It's just I've been trying. I've been from a very early age working on ways to cope and work through this type of shit because I knew something wasn't right very early on. I'm like, something ain't right with these people. And uh so let me get ahead of this because these are, I don't know what this is, but this is not about to be an easy. So I got ahead of it. But I don't know. For me, it's just kind of facts. It's just at this point, it's kind of logic. Those people, they've got a problem, those folks over there. And yeah, love those people, but my God, I think over there is the best place for you. I think it looks great on you, you know. I don't know. For me, I just get to a certain point where I cannot, the pain of being around it is worse than the pain of being separated from people like that. I don't, and yeah, I just, because I recognize the impact that it's had on my life. And so I recognize that if I don't want to continue to have that kind of impact on my life, I need to go. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I feel that with the disassociating thing because, like, really, it's when you're in these types of dynamics, it's like, I don't have words for it. But you know what? Thank you, and I'm proud of you too because I know it's not easy, Danny. Whether you're in the dynamic or outside of it, it doesn't change anything. It doesn't change the reality of who and what your family is. And so it really doesn't make it any less, more, you know what I mean? Like, it's either way you put it, it's a painful position to be in. So, and anybody who survived it and keeps going and can recognize it, and yeah, Yes, that's true. And it makes a lot of sense. People who have been through a lot of trauma, or like, I would say having narcissistically abusive parents is probably I would say a severe form of trauma for sure. Um, it can make you, I don't know, just, it makes sense to me what what you're saying, because it kind of, I don't know how to put it into words, but I just get it based on what I've seen with you and your energy, Danny, and I can relate with just, I don't know, your essence. And yeah, like all that kind of stuff. You can just kind of, because like people who've been through a lot of stuff can be very straightforward, very blunt, very like matter of fact. And I think sometimes people don't realize that that can be a result of being, going through a lot of trauma. So, I mean, yeah. And it's like a really weird thing in narcissistic dynamics, because if you do like call it out or you do separate yourself, then you become like the scapegoat, or like, it's almost like it's so backwards and weird, because it's like if you step out of the dynamic and call out the abuse, you're then like scapegoated and kind of like treated almost as if like you're being exposed, question mark, but it's kind of a hilarious backwards. I mean, it's not hilarious because it's really fucked up, but you could only laugh at it because of how fucked up it is, because it's like the true people who need to be exposed are the ones who are like still in the dynamic, but the defense mechanism to protect themselves is to act like, oh my gosh, we can't believe this person has stepped outside the dynamic and they're seeing the truth, so we're gonna paint it like, oh my god, what a sicko. It's like, it's a cult. It's like a cult. That's cult-like behavior. It's like if you go outside of what we expect, or you step outside of the dynamic and try to expose the dynamic, we are going to then treat you like you're doing something wrong, and we're going to make you feel like you're somehow like the exposure is then, it's like a weird thing. It's like put on you, and then you're treated like, but like I said, you just have to not give a fuck. And that's kind of the place that I've gotten to, is just, I really don't give a fuck. Sorry, don't give a fuck. Like, not really. I They can live in their reality and I'll live in mine. It's okay. No ill feelings. Just you live over there in that reality, and I'll live in this one. Mm. Yes, exactly. Because you're calling out the poor behavior, you're suddenly one in the wrong. Okay, let's pin this. I should have been doing this all along, Danny, but if we actually connect on the basic level of humanity, we'll be fine. There's only way. Right, okay. Yep, that's understandable. Yeah, I mean, that is exactly what it is. Because you're calling out the truth and they don't want to be exposed, they instead make it look like, oh my gosh, like, can you believe this crazy person? Like, it's
I don't even know. Insane. Absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. It's really a tragedy, to be honest with you, if you really look at it, because it's like, oh my goodness, so many people get trapped in this dynamic, and they get trapped because they're the only sane person in the narcissistic dynamic, and so they don't have anybody to validate reality, which is that, hey, I'm sorry, you're around a bunch of very manipulative, fucked up people. And you can't see that because you literally don't have anybody else except for those people telling you what quote unquote reality is, which it is not. You feel me? So that's where people get confused. Or, I mean, I can even relate to this. That's what happened to me. Like, I got super confused. Like, wait, like, yeah, like, there must be like something wrong with me. And now I've come to this place in life where it's like, yeah, depression and anxiety, which was extremely circumstantial because I was being brainwashed by a bunch of narcissistic freaks. So, like, duh, who wouldn't be depressed or anxious? But I wasn't the problem. No, I was around a bunch of misfit fuck ups that were the problem and just pretended that they weren't and covered it up with, well, all sorts of things. But none of which equated to true, authentic character. So at the end of the day, I don't give a shit what those individuals think because they are living a lie. They're living a mask. They don't have true integrated character because they're living through ego, defense mechanisms. So why am I words? So why am I going to give a fuck that people like that think anything of me? They don't even have a self. They live in their ego. Like what? I'm supposed to give a shit what you think. You're not even like a respectable person. I mean, you may have, paraded yourself around to be, you may have convinced other people that you are, but if you're actually not, which when you discover who a narcissist is, you discover that they actually are not, why would I give a fuck? I don't care what you call yourself to me. I don't care if I don't care if you gave birth to me, honey. You gave birth to the wrong one. Or the right one. Oof. Because talk about kids or your karma, yeah, that's me, baby. Because I'm not about to sit here and parade around this false image for nobody. No. And the ones who know me know the truth about me and are going to be looking at these people sideways anyway. So I'm not concerned because the people who I've encountered along the way with true character are the ones who are going to be able to discern crazy from not, Because the proof is in the pudding. The proof is in the actions, right? So when you grow up in that kind of dynamic, that's where you, really do develop tough skin and resilience, where it's like you really don't, you have to learn to not give a fuck. Or you can just live in torture and suffer, pain and suffering. It's like, but that's not going to last because if you're actually like facing reality for the most part, you're going to surpass that because like you're going to have to be like forced to face the pain. I don't know. It just depends on where you're at as far as what you're willing to look at. But when you face pain enough and you face enough of it, well, I don't know. For me, it just makes me more resilient over time. Yep. Yep. Yep, I definitely get that and can relate to all that, Danny. Yes, that's true. You get to choose your own path and your own family. Yep, and I can relate to that. I mean, you just eventually get to a point where it's like you can't keep trying to, I don't know, you kind of have to look at it like this, like, if you have to try to explain to somebody, basic concepts, empathy, how to perspective take, perception, context, very, like, things like that, that's a red flag. That's a red flag. Even people who I've met who are not the most emotionally intelligent, at least, like, mostly have that intact. I'd say mostly. So that's a huge red flag. And that's why it's so important to know yourself, but it's like that's what's so tough is that sometimes these types prey on people who are younger, haven't gotten a chance to experience enough life, and so they use that to their advantage. So I would just say, damn, what would I say? Trust yourself, and don't trust words. Don't trust what someone is saying to you, and don't trust, I hate to really say this, but yeah, if you're a young person, and especially like if you're a female with males, like don't trust that someone's just being nice just to be nice. I hate to say that, but I think it's true. And I would just say, just in general, don't trust that. I would just always err on the side of caution. Err on the side of being an asshole, and let that be okay. Better off being an asshole than being dead. Try that. Yeah. Because a lot of times females will be convinced that, oh my gosh, they need to be polite. Fuck being polite when it means my life. Fuck that. I'd rather leave alive than give a shit whether you think I'm a bitch or not. So don't put other people's feelings before your safety. Don't put other people's feelings or comfort, if you're a young person, especially like a female, but like, don't put another person's comfort or feelings before your own safety or whatever. If you feel like you're in danger, like, no, I'm sorry. Make an excuse. Oh my God, I have to go throw up. Do something like that. That's repulsive. I have to go, like, I'm literally, like, I have my period and I'm about to throw up. So I have to, like, go to the next room before I bleed all over you and throw up and puke in your face. Sorry, be right back, like, and then get the fuck out of there, or kick them in the balls and run, like, stop giving a fuck. That's my biggest piece of advice. Stop putting people's feelings before your own safety and your own life and your own well-being. And I would say across the board that goes for that. No. Oh my God. Okay. Wait, Danny, what's your email? Or I don't know how to do that whole thing on here. Oh, dang. Okay. Appreciate it. I would love to come to your wedding. That would be so fun. That's crazy, but I would probably do it. Oh, did you message me or something? It should pop up, but I don't see it. Well, what's your email? Oh, you sent an email. Okay, let me see. Okay, wait. Wait, okay. Just send the whole email and it might just not come through the chat. It probably won't come through the chat, but I didn't get an email from you. Oh, it's in my About Me page, but it's I am for justice and truth at gmail.com. The number 4. So like I am for just the number 4, not spelled out. I am for justice and truth at gmail.com. It won't let you send it. Is there a way for me to like type something in here? Okay. Let me see. Gosh, I got your email. Yep, I got it. I defs got it. I will email you back for sure. Yay. Thank you. I'm so glad. I'm glad you got the right email. I was gonna do a reading. I know I said this, but I felt more inspired, inclined to do this just because I don't know. I just did. I was like, nah, that I feel like I should talk about that because I know it's not an easy thing to deal with because I deal with it every day. And it's like whether you're in the dynamic or out of it, you still have to deal with this every day because you have to deal with that cognitive dissonance whether you're in it or out of it, you know. So I just think it's important to put it out there so people know they're not alone, but also to help people kind of look at or see how they could maybe cope with it and find ways through it to get past it. Cause yeah, I mean, like I said, not an easy thing. It's a very awkward thing one way or the other. But and I don't think there's one right answer necessarily. I think it's tough either way, basically. So, okay. Oh, okay. Oh, that makes sense. Okay. Okay, so you will, okay. So I should just like respond back to the QR code that you send basically to RSVP. Is that what you mean? I gotta see how, I gotta, see how far away it is, but, you know, probably can swing it. So I'm pumped. And I feel honored. Also, thank you so much for inviting me. I really appreciate that. And honestly, if it's not super far, I feel like I will come to, yeah, I feel like I will. Like I will. So, I just does it say like what the dress code is? Like what should I wear, you know? I'm so excited because like one of the things I was sad about because like I went no contact with a lot of my family and like I have a big family and a lot of my family like was getting married and stuff like that before I went no contact. So I was like, damn, like I really that sucks because like I was having so much fun going all to all those weddings and then you invited me to your wedding. So I just really appreciate you for that. Costume, any costume? Wait, um, do I have to wear a costume? Or can I just wear like can I just get like all done up and wear like a ball gown dress and act like I'm Cinderella or so? Is that a costume? Oh, yeah, no, I'm an extremely modest person, so you do not have to worry about that at all. Yeah, no. I'm not like that at all. I think that type of stuff is weird. I hate people who are like that. Ugh, I hate that. So yeah. Nah, that's not my vibe at all. But I don't know what I don't really know. Okay, spooky. Okay, shoot. Gotta think this through. Oh my gosh, I really would have to think that through. Oh, a costume party? Wait, so, okay, because I don't want to come, yeah, because I don't want to, oh, well, I don't know, man. Oh, okay, okay. Oh, that's right, okay, it's October 31st. Okay, all right. What if, is it okay if I come as, like, Carrie, or is that too gory? That's what came to mind. I'm like, I don't watch scary movies. Like, I don't, you know, that would probably be way over the top. I would never do that. Oh my goodness. I'm a very discreet person. I don't like attention. I really don't, I just like being the fly on the wall kind of a thing. So, uh, maybe I'll just wear one of those costumes that just like covers my entire body and then you won't even know who I am and then I'll just show up and you'll be like, "Oh my God, Uncle Bob." You could think I'm that's what I'll do. I'll come and I'll pretend I'm your Uncle Bob. I'll just put a name tag on and everybody will just think and they'll just be like, "We didn't know we had an Uncle Bob, but hey, I mean, I think it'll be a great addition. And then nobody will know. Nobody will know at all. uh, oh man, costumes, wow. Uh, yeah, maybe I'll probably just do something real chill. You know what I mean? Like very not noticeable, you know? Um, yeah. Oh, you know what? I could totally do that. Well, one year for Halloween, I was Swiper from Dora the Explorer, and I just like made this makeup mask, and just like put my hair into a ponytail because like I have red hair, so I just like use that as the tail, and like that was like my costume, like, and I like, like I went to American Apparel naturally, and like bought a whole outfit that was overly expensive and it was all worth it in the end. Maybe I should do something like that. Okay, maybe I should do that. Swipe or no swipe. Cause that costume was the shit. Cause like I put my hair up in this faux hawk thing that I do. And like I do it with bobby pins and it looks like a whole mohawk faux hawk. I don't know, it's crazy. It's kind of cool, so I could do that. You know what I mean? That seems normal. It seems like this is this is what we're aiming for, type of vibes, you know. What? Exactly, swipe or no swiping. Okay, great. Okay, perfect. That's good, you know, because I don't know. I have social anxiety. But you know, I'm very friendly though. It's like I'll say this to you now, but then when I get there you'll be like, "What?" Now, will there be alcohol at is there a no, they don't call it an after party. Is there a oh my God, this is sad. I've literally been to like 5 weddings in the past like few years. Oh, damn. Okay. Oh my God. Yeah, that's so funny. I just thought that. That's so funny. 'Cause like, you know, I know why I just thought that though. I was like, man, I should like okay, so I'm no contact with both my parents, but I thought to myself like maybe I don't know. Hmm. That's interesting. I can't wait. I cannot wait. So, wow. So, should I, are you guys like doing wedding gifts? Should I bring that to the event, like to the wedding or like on the day or like, you know what I mean? If I end up, what, or are you guys doing that? We don't care about what you bring besides chef. Oh, thanks. Okay, well, I feel like I should. Oh, I see. Like, are you like taking donations and stuff like that for your honeymoon? I'll definitely do that. Do you know where you're going yet? Oh, yeah, definitely. I'd say who cares how long you wait? Um, it's definitely worth it. Oh, love it. Okay. That'll be so fun. That'll be really cool. Are you gonna fly or drive or Oh, I'm excited for you. You know, I think I had a family member that went there and she told me about it and it sounded really cool. So, oh, okay. You know what? Driving, I feel like that's the best way to go. That'll be really fun. It'll be an adventure. I love driving places. I don't mind. Like, as you've seen on the channel, I've gone to North Carolina, New